seats on offer in the state of Bihar. The NDA won 31 of them in the 2014 Lok Sabha polls. A victory will give Narendra Modi the confidence at the national level to push ahead with his governance agenda. After the Delhi debacle, BJP chief Amit Shah is keen to redeem his image of a master strategist. If BJP loses, Modi's dominance over national politics and the BJP could come under some threat. Everything is at stake for Nitish and Lalu, who joined hands swallowing old animosities. This is a do-or-die battle for them. It's their political relevance that is at stake. The so-called secular alliance is under threat. A defeat could expose the limits of trying to create a broader anti-Modi coalition at the national level. And the new shape of mandal politics and the primacy of caste alignments could also be determined by who wins in Bihar. Let's give you the methodology and then introduce our guests who will answer all the big questions on Bihar. This exhaustive India Today Cicero pre-poll survey was conducted across 81 assembly constituencies spread across Bihar. Respondents in as many as 320 polling stations. Total sample size 6,306. The round 2 of the survey was conducted between 28th of September and October 3rd. So just about a week ago. It's as contemporary as we possibly could make it. Our guests who are going to track us through this: Cicero, Dhananjay Joshi, looking very serious because he knows this is a tough poll to predict. And remember, if he gets it wrong, he takes the blame. If he gets it right, we get the credit. That's the rule of the game with Cicero. Also joining us, Manisha Priyam, senior academic, political analyst and India lead at the London School of Economics. She studies elections on India. She's just back from Bihar, so she will give us a ground zero's perspective. No one knows the state better than her. Surjit Singh Bhalla, political economist, one of the country's most widely read columnists and also someone who always has a strong opinion on every subject, from cricket to politics. Also joining us is Ajit Jha, someone who is going to track his home state for us, dressed in a baseball cap. Remember, it's baseball end of the season in America at the moment, so he's here in his baseball cap. Also joining us will be Professor Dipankar Gupta, social scientist, the country's premier social scientist, joins us from Pune. Javed Ansari, our executive editor, is in Patna. He's just been with Nitish Kumar on the campaign trail today, and we'll be joined by several more voices as we build up today, including politicians at the very end. We want to focus first on the analysis, then on our netas. But I'm going to raise the first big question, and I'm going to go to our magic screen for that to tell you the big question: who is the most popular leader in Bihar? Let's go straight across and find out that big answer to that big question. Who is the most popular leader in Bihar? That's the question we want an answer to today. Who is the #1 leader of Bihar? And that's what we want to do at the moment. Okay, so we're ready with the numbers. The big question, the first big question of the India Today Cicero poll tonight: who is the most popular leader? Take a look at those numbers. Now, remember, we did a poll in September which showed 29% supported Nitish. That number has now gone up to 38%. So Nitish actually has a 9% swing in his favor. 29% wanted him as, or thought him to be the best candidate for chief minister. Remember, this is chief minister, and 38% now. Who's #2 in the race? Well, Sushil Modi has not been officially anointed the BJP's candidate, but he is clearly emerging as their preferred choice, at least among voters. 19% in September, it's up 22. But there is a 16% gap at the moment between him and Nitish Kumar. Who else in the race? Where is Lalu Prasad? I'm afraid Lalu Prasad is on the downswing as far as a poll is concerned. He's not a candidate for chief minister. He can't even contest the polls because he's been convicted in the fodder scam. 12% now down to just 9%. Other candidates, and there are very few. Ram Vilas Paswan might entertain hopes. Well, the voters don't see him as a CM candidate. He's down to just 4% from 7% last time that we polled. Jitin Ram Majhi, controversial, contentious figure, part of the NDA alliance now. He's more or less where he is. 6% seem to favor Jitin Ram Majhi as a potential chief minister candidate. Rabri Devi down to just 1%. So the Yadav family not doing particularly well when we ask that question about chief ministers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nitish 38. And when you add up, actually he's almost bigger than all the other potential chief ministerial candidates put together. That's the first big finding of the India Today Cicero poll. I'm going to go back there and ask our panelists what they think. Dhananjay Joshi, Are you surprised by these numbers? Is there a clear shift between October and November when this direct question, I presume it was a direct straight question, wording was, who do you want as chief minister?
Right.
And you gave 5 names, or you gave them any name they wanted to choose?
It was an open-ended question. They picked up the names and we had a menu from which we coded. And in the last poll, Nitish was at 29, now Nitish Kumar is at 38. This 9% jump comes basically from Yadavs, Muslims and the other lower OBC communities. So these are communities where he has really consolidated his popularity.
I want to get Manisha for a first reaction. You've come from the ground in Bihar. Is Nitish Kumar not suffering anger or anti-incumbency? He's been chief minister for 10 years. Normally you expect after 10 years some level of anti-incumbency. Compared to 2010, when his popularity was well above 50%, it seems to have come down, but he's still way ahead of the others. Is that the sense you got?
You know, the sense on the ground is that people are angry for his having aligned with Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav. That anger is there. But this is clearly not anti-incumbency. And even those who say they would vote for the BJP are not angry with Nitish. So look at the fact that here's a man.
Were they disillusioned with
So, well, in defeat or in victory, Nitish has a clean report card on the ground. And where is his vote bank intact? Not in the Yadavs and the Muslims. I would think those are coming from his ally, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav. Right. But the EBCs. So I would say it's the Jitan Ram Majhi card that needs to be watched out for. The Panchpurna community that Nitish cultivated. Watch out for that lot. And
what
watch
about
out,
women? What about women? Because that, in the last elections, women were a very strong vote for Nitish Kumar.
So what has changed from then to now? Contrary to what we've seen in national newspapers, watch out for the young who are not speaking but have something to tell and are clearly not trailing any one of the jeeps that go from this camp or that. So watch out for the youth of Bihar, watch out for the EBCs. I would put my bets on those.
You know, I still want to come to that, because generally, Surjit, and you followed polls very closely, generally the sense we get in these polls is that if you are having a very high popularity as chief minister, you should win the election. Now that may not necessarily transpire in Bihar, but is Nitish's popularity in a sense even more than that of his Mahagathbandhan? That when you look at the alliance as a whole, Lalu plus Nitish as a package deal which is being offered, and the Congress, the popularity of that is actually lower than the chief minister. So Nitish enjoys high popularity, the Mahagathbandhan not so much.
Well, 2 points. First, I don't think anti-incumbency is a factor in this election.
It's not a factor.
It's not a factor. Nitish is very popular. His record is quite clean, as was just stated. So I think as far as people's perceptions are going, he's done a good job. There are mistakes that we discussed last time, that some people think mistakes of his having broken up with the BJP, etc. Second, Lalu Prasad Yadav is actually a drag on what Nitish is trying to achieve. So therefore, I would read this, that if he hadn't coalesced with Lalu Prasad Yadav, he would actually be much higher than what he is. So what is bringing him down is the alliance with Lalu.
Yes, but it's an interesting situation, and I'll come back to that in a moment, because maybe he needs Lalu's votes. His own personal popularity may have been higher if he had not tied up with Lalu, but he still needs Lalu's votes. So that's one of the dilemmas which we'll address.
Which is perhaps about 7–8%, and he may be losing quite a bit because of that alliance.
Yeah, so but he's never done well on his own. Whenever he's contested an election on his own, he's never done well. But Ajit Kumar Jha, the question, Ajit, is that this Sushasan Babu image of providing good governance, has that stayed, you believe, over the last 10 years in the minds of the average Bihari when it comes to a Nitish Kumar?
I think so, Rajdeep. Main reason, of course, is if you look at the entire history of Bihar, Bihar has never enjoyed 10 years of 10% plus growth rate. This is the first time in the history of Bihar.
Agricultural growth rate.
Overall economic
growth rate.
Okay. Reasonably high, about 8%,
it's between 10 to 14% actually. There's been a couple of years when the growth rate almost jumped to 15%. Extraordinarily high for a Bimaru state. Number one. Number two, Nitish is not seen as a typical caste politician in Bihar. He's seen as a development hero. He's seen as the Vikas Purush. of Bihar.
The Modi of Bihar.
No. In a way, the Modi of Bihar. That's right. So he's seen as a Vikash Purush.
It's interesting you're calling him the Modi of Bihar. You're suggesting Nitish Kumar is the Modi of Bihar. We'll come to Modi's own popularity, the Prime Minister's own popularity in a moment. But I just want to get a word from you also, Javed, because you've been traveling with Nitish today. Are you getting the sense that he looks a winner? That he seems to enjoy this popularity? Because whenever we've spoken to him in the last couple of weeks, you know, he doesn't exude that kind of robust confidence. Maybe that's just the kind of person he is. But I'm getting a sense that he too is a little nervous. Do you get a sense that he enjoys high popularity? Did you see a lot of rapport with the audience when you were traveling with him today?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. Before I traveled with him, I was of the same opinion that you were. Sitting in Delhi, we get a different picture. But today I went to 6 different places with him, and the kind of response that he got was very surprising. I was surprised. You know, there is his track record, development record. There's no anti-incumbency against him. There is no anger against him, like Manisha was saying. And then this development that Mr. Modi is promising is being seen in contrast with what Nitish has done. And he talks of, will Bihar be run by a Bihari or by a Bahari? And you see the way the people respond. See the way the youth respond. He's given them cycles. He's helped educate them. And he's promising 4 lakh rupees worth of credit cards for students who want to go in for higher education.
No, just a minute.
Women are responding to it.
Just a minute. It's Bihari versus Bahari is an interesting slogan to have, because in a way, Dipankar Gupta, we've never over the years seen any sense of Bihari sub-nationalism. Nitish has attempted that over the last decade. He's spoken about a Bihar package. He's also tried to create, as Javed is saying, this impression that he is the, Nitish for CM, Narendra Modi possibly for PM, much like Arvind Kejriwal attempted in Delhi. Kejriwal for CM, Modi for PM. Do you get a sense that there is something where voters like to have a leader who they can call their own in a state election, unlike a national election?
There's no doubt that voters would like somebody who they can call their own. I mean, the chief ministerial candidate who is credible and has a good track record is obviously going to be someone that people would like to vote for. But as has been said earlier, what is spoiling Nitish's pitch is his relationship with Lalu Yadav. And I had mentioned this in our last program, that Lalu is more like a millstone around his neck. If you look at the kind of seat distribution, so no matter what happens, places where Lalu and company are fighting, I'll be very surprised if they do well. And that's not the only story. The real thing is this, that if Lalu does poorly, Nitish does poorly too, in spite of his own personal popularity, and in spite of the fact that he has really, pulled up Bihar by his bootstraps.
And it's not just that.
One must also remember that Bihar is on a growth.
Sure, go ahead, sorry.
One must also remember that Bihar is on a growth trajectory, and that's very important. You may have noticed that the rise in non-farm employment in Bihar is the highest in the country, and nobody really pays too much attention to it. So the Bihari is actually trying to sort of find a niche for themselves, and Nitish could have provided that, but for the fact that he has pulled the Biharis backwards by linking up with Lalu Yadav. You remember also the rise in English medium education in Bihar is also phenomenal. So there's something happening out there, and Lalu is not on that page.
Can I just stop you for a moment?
Lalu, and is spoiling his own game.
Can I just stop you? Dhananjay, is there any evidence in your poll that Lalu is pulling Nitish down? No. That the presence of Lalu, there are people who will say we want Nitish as our CM, but if Nitish comes as our CM, what will we do with Lalu Prasad? Were there people who were saying that?
Look, people by and large said, in the last poll we asked the question, did Nitish do the right thing by allying with Lalu? Will it benefit him? On both these questions, people were negative. So Professor Gupta is very right on that. But at the same time, the data also throws up that the votes that Nitish is getting to back his image come from Lalu's arithmetic.
So Lalu is giving Nitish the votes in a sense, even though there are those fence sitters perhaps who may be worried at the prospect of Lalu being part of the government. Yeah. As I've been saying, one of the dilemmas of this election is Nitish cannot win this election without Lalu. And many believe he might lose this election because of Lalu.
So it's the arithmetic comes from Lalu.
So the arithmetic comes from Lalu. But the question that we pose, the look at public opinion on Nitish government's performance. 28% thought Nitish's performance is more than expected, better than expected. Another 28% think Nitish has delivered as per expectation. 28% say Nitish's regime has been less than expected. 16% they can't say about that. So when you add it together, it's about 56% who are either happy or believe it's above expectation, which is not bad when you've been in power for 10 years. I mean, it is not great. 5 years ago, it was above 70%. It's now down to 56%.
And to this whole debate, the one thing is that you discuss development, you will find different answers. You discuss the caste arithmetic, it's a different answer. And the one thing that I found, that I left my poll panditry behind, and I understood this as one thing. I was told the last time Nitish won, he won on a unity of the Love Kush, which is the OBCs, the higher. And this time they said, love is there, Kush is here. Which means really, the Kurmis and the Koiris, the split amongst them, benefiting either sides.
No, but you are saying essentially the arithmetic on the ground is what is
the dilemma. Therefore, the development and governance dilemma therefore is that the clear-cut castes that were backing Nitish in his performance are this side and that.
They got split.
Yes. So if there is a fragment, if the BJP encashes this, then it's heavier on this side. If it does not, then Nitish comes home. Lalu may have grouped together and given Nitish those votes, but also remember that there is a fracturing of the Love Kush.
There's a fracturing of the Love Kush, and I'm going to come to that question later. Along with Love Kush, there may also be a fracturing of the young and old. A younger Bihari may not want to have a Lalu Prasad aligning himself with Nitish Kumar in the way that maybe a previous generation which had certain loyalties to Lalu had. Yeah. Do you believe that we need to start looking at the demographics? Bihar has 1.77 crore voters under the age of 29 out of a total vote of 6.7 crores. Yeah. Could there be a younger versus older divide, Surjit?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, 2 points again on the split, if you will. If we are going to argue that, listen, Nitish's appeal is because of development, then Lalu is a clear negative to that appeal, which joins in with the age factor. I don't think the young voters of Bihar, less than 30, less than 35, whatever they've heard of Lalu hasn't been very positive. So therefore, they are unlikely to think that, listen, we've got to vote for the
let me bring in Ajit. So, Ajit, do you also see it like Surjit that there is increasing need to look at this young-old divide in a country like India where younger voters are playing a greater role than ever before?
Absolutely. In fact, on an average, there are 30,000 first-time voters in each assembly constituency of Bihar. Right. And as our own figure shows, in 1 month, 7% younger voters have actually come down supporting the BJP and increased to more towards the JDU. So Nitish is obviously gaining a lot of traction, lot of ground among the young voters.
You know, that's the interesting, because many believe that that is the vote that Narendra Modi got in the 2014 general election. The younger voters of Bihar said, we want Narendra Modi, we want Parivartan. Now, Parivartan is the slogan again in Bihar. Is Mr. Modi's magic going to work with those younger voters? He's campaigned aggressively through Bihar. He's going to address 22 rallies, we are told, in the next few weeks, including 4 just today. Let's take a break, because when we return, we are going to look at how is Narendra Modi being seen there. Is his blitzkrieg in Bihar actually resonating with the voters?